Welcome to the Delegate Life podcast, brought to you by 12 Trees, etc. I'm Kristen Lee, and today's topic is MIGOP vice chairs. With me is Emily Bauman, partner with 12 Trees, etc.
Thank you, Kristen. Yes, I'm Emily Bauman, and I want to thank everyone for listening to our podcast that we are going to get out here very soon. We have our guest host, Catherine Coburn, a precinct delegate in Wayne County. Catherine, tell us a little bit how you started on your precinct delegate journey.
Thank you, Emily. Good morning. I'm Catherine Coburn. My delegate journey started back in November of 2020 when I was a poll challenger at the TCF Center in Detroit, Michigan.
Awesome. So then, is this your first term as a delegate, as an elected?
Yes, this is my first term as an elected delegate for the city of Plymouth.
Great.
Well,
Thanks for stepping up to serve. Welcome to the delegate life.
Thank you. It's an honor to serve my community and my state and nation.
So we are going to talk about vice chairs today, and to get us kicked off a little bit, I am going to talk a little bit about what the vice chairs are and this individual ones, and I'm going to give what's the official role as the bylaws indicate, because ultimately that's where we go back to. There are 6 vice chairmen that take a different role on. The first one is coalitions. We also have outreach, grassroots, ethnic, administrative, and youth. And all of those will be elected on February 18th, along with the chair of the MIGOP. The first one, the coalition's vice chair, we'll talk a little bit about that. And I don't know if we're going to talk too much about who's running for these positions. I don't know if we're going to get that, or we're just going to talk about the more general, the roles. But this is what it says for the coalition's vice chairman. Shall serve ex officio as a member of all committees and shall supervise and direct all coalition building activities, including activities relating to senior citizens, women, union members, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, professionals, small businessmen, farmers, sportsmen, conservationists, and any other group that should rightfully be a part of the Republican Party coalition. The coalition's vice chairman shall perform such other duties as the committee or the chairman may determine. So that's the official for coalitions. You know what I liked about that, and I hadn't thought about it before, was the part that talked about the Republican Party coalition, because the coalition's chairman doesn't create new coalitions. They're basically bringing different groups to be part of the Republican Party coalition.
I love that.
Right. And historically, I mean, how many Republicans know what a coalition is?
I just learned this today.
And you know what? Because
that excites me.
It should, because on the old website, it actually it actually listed all these little coalitions, and that's what kind of got me confused until I read this and understood it differently. It's only one coalition,
right? Because we have one mission, which is to get Republicans elected. Right?
Agreed.
So when you're thinking about interviewing someone for hiring or electing for this position, that's going to be an important thing to be thinking about. How are they pulling these other groups together to be part of the Republican Party coalition? And do they fully understand what the Republican Party coalition stands for, is focused on, the core values, the mission, belief statements, all of that?
Platform.
Yeah.
That'd be a good question to ask these candidates.
I think we need to ask questions to these candidates prior to our upcoming state convention. Yeah, we definitely need to ask and get answers, because we have a big decision coming up.
Which does remind me we should probably back up the truck to say that these are statewide volunteer positions that are elected by the delegates who are elected to go to state convention. So this is a 2-year cycle, 2-year term where we are electing these vice chairmen and women to serve for the 2-year term going forward into 2023 and 2024. So we've got local elections this year, we've got presidential election next year, and state level, of course. So these are the 6, what should we call them? Vice presidents. Emily, would there be a corporate equivalent, even though this is a nonprofit and there is no salary currently associated with any of them? What would you liken it to in a corporation?
It possibly could be like vice presidents of a department, so to speak. I think one of the things I see too is and I'm gonna go ahead and read the other vice chairman. I know we stopped on coalitions for a little bit just because I thought it was huge because it talks about the Republican Party coalition, and I think that's a big shift in what people might be thinking when they think about this person or this role.
Yes.
And I think but what I want people to hear too is not only how am I hiring or electing this person, who am I hiring to do this? Do they truly understand what that is? Think about, as a delegate life, think about how you are going to support that coalition's vice chair or that outreach vice chair in these roles. Maybe not all of them. Maybe you're gonna say, you know what, I really want to work with coalitions, or I want to work with, who are you going to work with? Because I think that's one of the things that we also miss is, as a delegate, where am I focusing my time to help and support these vice chairmen? Because they're not doing it all alone. It is a department. No, kind of like what Chris is doing. It is a
agreed, and I totally agree, and I'm so glad we're having this discussion because I'm just having like a huge light bulb moment.
Well, let me read the other ones because I don't want to miss out on getting them all out there. So the outreach vice chair, again, the first part about it is very similar to all the other ones, that they serve as ex officio. All of them serve as ex officio as members of all committees and shall supervise and direct all activities necessary. And this one says to deliver the Republican message, including activities related to media, letters to the editor, local cable access, internet, assisting candidates with editorial boards, endorsements, and arranging for speakers to spread the Republican message. So that's the outreach vice chair. And again, I'm hearing something different that I don't know that I really thought about in the outreach vice chairperson. So we'll come back to that. Grassroots vice chair, their duties are activities related to precinct delegate recruitment, voter registration, volunteers, and get out the vote efforts. And then,
so we've got 3 more.
3 more.
Ethnic. Shall I go here? Ethnic vice chairman shall supervise and direct all ethnic activities designed to attract citizens of every race, color, creed, and nationality to the Republican Party. The administrative vice chair, again, is an ex officio member of all committees and shall supervise and direct all activities related to conventions, candidate events, and conferences. And lastly, the youth vice chair shall supervise and direct all youth activities of the party.
Which actually is one of the groups that needs to step into being part of the Republican Party coalition, right? And then there's one more thing about the youth chair. What is it?
I miss?
Nope. Age.
Oh, correct.
So you mentioned age, and you say youth. What is, obviously, you vote at the age of 18, but when do we actually start as far as going after that audience, the youth? Because it's so important that we engage our youth.
First, the youth vice chairman actually cannot be older than 25 at the point that they're elected to serve that role. So that's where I was going to go with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then, Kristen, do you want to take that question?
Sure. I mean, you really can never start too young.
Agreed. I remember my first moment. I was, sitting on my grandfather's shoulders in Livonia at Wonderland Mall when Gerald Ford and Carter were there. I think that's when I caught, no, I'm serious.
Nice.
That's when I caught the bug. I'll never forget that moment.
Well, certainly our anyone under 25. So the college age demographic, young career, high school. We've got 2 high schoolers, middle school, right? We've just got to go really be reaching out to all the youth and building that up.
And I think that's the key part, is that it just says, it doesn't actually define that, other than the actual chairman, their age. It just says all youth activities. So to some degree, that we want to start as young as we need to.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
All the generations. So one other detail to note here is that according to the bylaws, the co-chairman of the party and all vice chairs shall meet as a group at least 5 times in each calendar year at the call of the committeeman. And then from my experience on state committee, at each state committee meeting, which is quarterly, there is a vice chair report. Generally one vice chair will give a report on what all of the chairs have been doing. Right.
So there's the commitment to those regular meetings. I think that those are the easier commitments. And it's the commitment of actually doing the things that are expected, because as we've recognized, there are definitely some that have stepped more fully into their role of their vice chairman role over the last couple of years that we've been paying attention to this, and as we've heard others. So there's some that individually are going to step more fully in, and it is difficult because it is a volunteer position, and you do have your life and things to do. So I think there is an element of seeing that, which again is why I really think it's important in our conversation that we think about how are delegates supporting these vice chairmen and women.
And I don't, as a new delegate, I never realized how important it is until this conversation that we support these chairs. And I think it's a conversation that I know when I am, done talking with you ladies today, that I'm going to be reaching out to, Wayne Six and saying, hey, how are we going to support? It's not just we vote them in and, bye, see you later. How do we support?
Which I would encourage people to say, what area are you more passionate on? Are you passionate on coalitions? Did you hear something in the outreach that you thought, hey, I'm a media person, I want to get involved with that? Or grassroots, I really like training the delegates. I want to encourage more people to be delegates. Ethnic, are you looking at how you're bringing different ethnic groups to the Republican Party?
Mm-hmm.
And then administrative, do I really like helping with conventions, maybe, or other candidate events? So you have, and then the youth. Do I want to help the youth chairman do something in a local high school or a college I'm connected with? So we can actually hone in and focus more in an area that we are actually passionate about.
Agreed. Totally agree. And I truly believe that as a new delegate, we don't know how important these roles are. And then again, what is our interest in? What, everybody has something to bring to the table based on their interest, their passion. And then we support these key positions. We have to. We have to all support these positions and get things done together.
Right.
So Catherine, sorry. Just one question. What question do you have that you would ask someone running for one of these positions?
What questions in general, or if I had to pick a question for a particular vice chair?
I say pick a particular vice chair. And
I would say for coalitions, gosh, I have a lot of questions. Like, what are your qualifications that you feel that you're a good fit for this position? What is their vision? How are they going to implement it? How are they going to reach out to the delegates for that support? And what are their goals, short term, long term?
Those are great questions.
Oh, yeah. And as soon as we're done with the podcast, I'm going to be reaching out to that person. For sure.
Great. Well, and I think that's part of the shift in the delegate life. I love to hear that, Catherine, because being around a bit, there's an old mindset that this is a top-down system, right? We do want to hear what their vision is and what their goals are, absolutely, and partner that with the delegate life, which is our responsibility to live it out locally and to be supporting and holding accountable those that are in elected office. So many of our congressional and county committees might have actual committees of this nature, right? Outreach committee, coalitions committee, and those could be in partnership with this state level position to really help with the communication across the state and sharing of ideas. So I'm seeing now, even in this conversation, the ways that we can really connect the state level down to the congressional and county level in these veins, really.
Oh yeah, I'm totally
strategy and how we can win.
Agreed. I'm totally just, visioning, like branches of the tree. Does that make sense? Like the visual,
Very appropriate for 12 Trees coaching.
No, I'm just speaking from my heart, and I'm, excited because I can just visualize like a plan on how to do this and be successful. We all are in this together. We all bring something to the table, put our aces in the places, in regards to our interest, our passion. And, as I look out the window this morning on this bright sunny day, I'm looking at a tree and I see it. And I feel it.
Love it.
Agreed.
What are you thinking, Emily?
So I'm thinking this is great. I'm loving the back and forth with all that. One question I would ask of each of these candidates, as well as the ones you had, because those are, and I will share from me, I know sometimes I when I think about someone's qualifications, I know for me, I don't necessarily look at whether or not what they've done matches what I'm hiring them for, but whether or not their mindset or ideas or philosophy matches what I'm hiring them for. There's an element of, it's not necessarily the skills and strengths as much as it's the philosophy of where you're going to take this. So I think that there might be some questions in here that we want to ask that say, give me an example of how you're going to bring small businessmen to the Republican Party, or maybe even other coalition ideas, because there could be others and things like that. Because the idea, and if they understand what in a coalition said that, or if it's outreach, give me an example of how you're going to do, or even I like to ask, what does your first day look like? Tell me what your first.
I love it.
Looks like. And think about that. Like, you've just been elected. What are you doing that first week? What's your first priority? And that will tell you a little bit about whether or not they're the right person for this, is when you ask them what their first priority is.
No, because when you ask that and what is their plan, their first day, you're like talking to them and you're hearing their voice, and you're going to hear their excitement. And if they have a plan, you're going to hear it. And if they don't, then, oh boy, I'm glad, then you say, I'm glad we're having this discussion. Let's get this plan. And again, I am so excited that we're having this conversation, because the wheels on my bus are spinning.
And we have an opportunity this year, I think, of any cycle, to really help these vice chairmen and women be more robust in their role.
Oh, we will have them be more robust. I won't settle for anything less. I speak that into existence. Yeah. Operation Robust. Well,
Mm.
Kristen, do you want to talk about the two vice chair roles that we would love to see?
Oh, yeah, yes, because which is be a next podcast talking about state committee. The bylaws obviously determine these positions, and we have an opportunity in the next cycle to amend the bylaws. So I would love to see a fundraising vice chair role.
yes.
Seeing as that this is a nonprofit business that needs to raise a lot of money to help get our message out so that our quality candidates can get elected. The second one, I'm totally blanking on.
Oh, okay. A legislative vice chair who's basically more of the watchdog, right?
Oh, correct. Yes. So either a watchdog for what's going on in Lansing and in DC as far as legislation and issues of the day, legislative issues.
And while we have an issues committee, I think having a matching vice chair role provides that ability for even more education. Because one thing I don't see in the committees as much. I don't see the committees out there training other people on how to do things. So by having a chair, they could be bringing more people to understanding what it means to be watching legislation.
And speaking of education, I would love to see a delegate education vice chair, actually.
Yes.
As far as really helping grow the understanding of the party, the inner workings, and the role. Obviously, we're here to provide that support.
No, and you guys have. I'm so thankful for the two of you because since the moment I met you, you've been educating. And anytime I've ever had any questions, I'm like, oh, I'll just pick up the phone or send a message to Emily and Kristen. You're like my fairy godmother. Seriously. Anytime there's like, well, how'd you find out? I'm like, I just contacted my go-to, and I'm so thankful for that. And I think that's a great idea because so as a new delegate, we don't know.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate you, Catherine, and all of you that are listening today. Hopefully this has been informative as well as encouraging as we move forward into this next season in our party. Any party words, Emily?
I match. Thank you very much. Thank you, Catherine, for joining us on this. We will be doing more of these, and we look forward to actually having another one with Catherine as well. So
I'm so excited for the next one. Thank you for having me today. It's an honor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Delegate Life. See you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.